Howdy gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Together We Design, the video series all about graphic design created by designers for designers. I'm your host Anarchy, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about art style. We're going to be discussing what art styles are, what it means to have a certain art style, and how you can find your own style as an artist. We're also going to be taking a look at some other artists with very distinctive styles and what makes their style so unique to them. So, style is a really interesting thing to talk about because every artist and art piece you look at has a certain style to it. Whether you know what style is or what it means to have one, any art pieces you look at will have a certain look to it or a certain feel to it, and this is the style. Style can be defined as a distinctive appearance typically determined by the principles according to which something is designed, or to design or make in a particular form. In simpler terms, a style is basically a specific way an artist portrays their art and the vision for their piece. This could be in both certain stylistic choices an artist makes regarding the art or the medium in which the art is portrayed, and some of these choices could be the use of geometric lines, or certain uses of color, or certain choices like topographic lines or something like that. Some examples of mediums are, of course, graphic design, but others could be digital art, physical paintings, or even obscure things like model painting. Depending on the choices a designer or an artist make, you could end up with a very unique and very distinctive style. Some distinctive art styles that you might know are photorealism, which is where you base art upon a picture, and others include like abstract, which is the opposite of photorealism, and they don't represent anything in particular. Some graphic design styles you might know are minimalistic or simple graphics, which they aim to get the point across in the simplest fashion without cluttering anything or anything like that. Or grunge, which is essentially the opposite of a minimalistic style, which portrays the graphic in a very messy or dirty kind of fashion. To have a style means that you've picked a medium that you like and certain artistic elements to put together, and you create something that is very clearly you. You don't have to limit yourself to just one style either. As you grow and change as both an artist and a person, what you think looks good will change too. The kinds of elements and perhaps what kind of medium you focus on will also change. For a personal example, when I was a kid, my medium was drawing. I used to draw a lot. I would look at like pictures of like video game characters that I liked, and I would draw them. And back then, I didn't particularly have a style, but my medium was different. And as I got older, I switched over to graphic design, and I've developed my own sort of grungy style, which we'll take a gander at later. And even currently, it's very beneficial to have your own style as well as having multiple styles that you can create, as it shows that you understand them and how you can do different stuff other than what you do all the time. Every person will have their own preference for art styles. Some people will prefer to look at grungy type of things over minimalistic stuff, or some people will prefer realistic things over abstract or cartoony things, and it all depends on what you like. Often what you look at and you like, it'll reflect in your own art pieces as well. For example, say you enjoy looking at minimalistic art for the most part, and those are the things that are most pleasing for you to look at. 8 times out of 10, that's going to be the kind of style you look to personally create because that's what looks good to you, and knowing what you like could help you find your own style as well. To find your own style, I do exactly what we just mentioned a moment ago. Find what looks good to you, what piques your interest. This could be an overall style or certain elements you like separately. And to make your own mean you take this existing style that you might like, artistic elements that you like, and a medium that you can express yourself in adequately, and you put these together to create something that is yours. Once again, your style will of course change as you change, but as you focus on more specific things that you like and you're skilled at, your style will eventually become something that even if you change up the certain little things in it, it'll still look like something that is you. This could be like the medium or the certain elements that you use. It'll still look like something that you've created and something that is yours. Alright, so now we're back here on a screen recording. We're going to take a look at two artists, one of which is myself, and we're going to look at some art styles. So, I like to say that I have pretty distinct art style. Mine is one that's very grungy and dirty. I feel like that's how I express myself the best and when it comes to graphic design. So here's one of my oldest projects on my portfolio. It is a London Spitfire rebrand project. Here's one thing. So the first thing we're gonna look at is this header here. One thing that's very evident that I use a lot is paper rips. This is like the early version of paper rips that I did. But that's one thing that you'll see in a lot of these projects. One choice that I make a lot that I love is paper rips. I just use paper rips all the time. Another thing that I use very frequently is waves or distorted images. So in this case, it's distorted images, but a lot of times I'll do distorted text. So here's a picture of London. I think it's distorted. In this one specifically, here you see the paper rips all the time. You also see just like the grungy kind of texture here, like it just looks dirty. So use that a lot here. Another example here is smoke. I use smoke a lot. I do enjoy smoke. I've been trying to use smoke a little less, but that's one element that I use a lot in my designs. Smoke. I quite enjoy smoke. But here, like down here, you can see the paper texture, the wavy kind of texture. This one's less like, but you can see it a little bit here, like in the background, this wavy kind of thing. Here's my style with phase 1. This one's actually rather interesting because you can see I went through a couple different styles here. My original style for phase 1 here was this. It's like sort of grungy, but not really, but kinda, if that makes any kind of sense. I use topographic lines a lot. This project I used these topography lines so much. I use this a lot. One thing that I tried to do to keep them unique to us was I recolored some of them, but not all of them. So like there's like some teal ones and some gray ones here, and that's one thing that you'll see in most of these. So in all the headers, I use the this line texture. I also use smoke again because I do enjoy using smoke. Here's the beam one, but all these share elements in common. That's all the lines and the smoke. Here it's got the same like the other thing these have in common is the same like gray, like grungy texture, some map, and then some like a grungy texture over it, and it's grayscaled. So here we've got the lines going on. Take a look at these. This is my welcome graphic. We've got the lines going on here. We've got the smoke and the little recolored hero. Here's an example from 4th of July. We've got the hero, the smoke, the lines here. We also been using the same font there, and we can see that coming on. I didn't use paper rips until later. I started using paper rips a little bit later, so we have that coming on here instead of smoke. So we've got paper rips instead. There's still some smoke here and there, but most of it is paper rips and topographic lines. As we move on here, we start kind of getting rid of the topographic lines. We go to a more smoke and paper-based kind of thing. There's some here, but after that's kind of like not. And then, say for this graphic, we start moving on to a more, we start getting rid of the gray. It's more color-based thing. We start moving on from gray background to more teal kind of thing. You can also see this orange start to appear, as this was supposed to mark the beginning of a rebrand that was happening soon. But for these graphics, you can see here, we start moving to a more geometric kind of thing, as that was what the rebrand was. It was a geometric based kind of thing, which we'll show in a minute here. And we can see like the shapes here and the lines here, but we mix that with the textury kind of paper type of thing with the colors here to signify that. And we can see that in a couple other ones. So there's this one. This one even uses brushes. I have no clue what that was for, but I used it for that graphic. And these are some Romanov graphics. These are old as well. As here's some match day things. As you can see, as the style changed, we went from, this was my first match day poster ever. This is the first one I ever made. We can see the lines here and the grayscale and the smoke and the colored hero. That was the first one to the last match day graphic I ever made for phase 1, which is the color block kind of thing with the paper and the textures and duct tape and all that. So that's that. There's a couple other wallpapers in here, but those aren't really indicative of style change. I kind of just did whatever I want there. And here's another example of it's a really good thing to be able to do multiple styles, because you of course can have something that's you, but if you have like multiple styles you're able to do, that shows your versatility as an artist, which is a good thing to have, because some if you get hired for a job, not every job you're gonna get is you're gonna be able to pick what style you want to do. I mean, obviously you're gonna be able to tell that it's something that you did to a certain degree, but they want to be able to see you do different things, because you want to be able to set yourself apart from other teams or other companies or whatever it is that you do for a job as an artist. But for this one was supposed to be a more simple approach, like a more stylistic uh, difference from the original P1 stuff. But it was supposed to be really simple because we were devolving. We went from humans to apes. So this was supposed to be really simple. So we've got like the block kind of thing. We've got like simple like lines and boxes and stuff. So we didn't do that much for this, but it was supposed to look like this. Also, here's Finn. We love him. But that was for that. But if we go take a look at some posters I've done, these are the most recent work I have on my portfolio. But I've taken more of a fusion between like a grungy kind of approach, but also like random geometric elements, I guess. So like here we've got like paper rips, which have evolved to this. They look way more realistic, as well as a use of lines and typography. Here we've got like the in this Gundam Gym poster, we've got the paper rips here, but we've also got shapes. We've got triangles here, and we've got X's, and we've got lines here at the bottom, and stroked text. Here we've got a lot of squares. I tend to do that a lot too. We've got squares, rectangles, lines, but we mix that with the grungy elements as well. We've got duct tape, the grungy textures, and like the plastic kind of thing going on there as well. This one's probably the most evident of that. We've got grunge brushes in the background, duct tape, plastic wrap, paper rips. I enjoy doing this holographic kind of effect on sticker looking things. I think that's fun. And that's that. So that's an example of some of my styles. We're also going to take a look at a professional graphic designer. We're going to be taking a look at Antoine, please, here. And we'll take a look at some styles that he's done. Very early, he had a very distinctive style here. It's kind of this geometric, liney kind of thing. This one, where there's like diagonal lines. You'll see this on a lot of his really early work. He used this kind of style. For example, here's a Gladiators graphic. He used it. Here's another graphic. He used it. This one here. This one here. You can see a lot. He uses it a lot until he starts to change it up a little bit, which is always good. Also, in some early Triumph graphics, he used this kind of diagonal line kind of style. Here, as you can see. On the early headers, mixed with Guard's early illustrations, which look very nice. You can also see it here in some regular graphics. You've got the line here mixed with the use of the logo outline. You can also see one thing he did a lot is the like sort of gradient overlay on the text, the color overlay here, where it's like shiny almost looking. So, and he used that to create a very distinctive Triumph style early on, which is very interesting to look at. And as you can see, you look at these early Triumph graphics and you look to what we have now, you can see how our style as a team has evolved, which is very interesting to look at. Some other distinctive styles that he set forth for Mayhem early is the comic book kind of style for stage 1 and 2 of season 2. You've got it looks like a comic book, which is very cool. You've got the halftones here, the halftone brushes, as well as the comic book effect on the characters. You've also got a lot of text boxes and gradient mapped maps in the background. And you've got that overall comic book effect. You've got also the like action lines here, which look very cool. And you've got a really distinctive style that no one in OWL was doing at that moment, which sets it apart from everyone else, and it was really cool. Also, one thing that you can see he used in game day graphics was was hero weapons. He used hero weapons in a lot of these, which is not something that's been done very often. Not a lot of people use weapons for things, so that was something that he started and made Mayhem also very distinct. So another thing here is we've got the grungy kind of Mayhem graphics, which he did for Mayhem Stage 3. We've got the smoke and the topographic lines, as well as the grungy textures here, which you can see in a lot of these, and it's also like distorted in a way, which looks very cool. Then the color changes for All Stars, but you can see that start to take effect. Got the, even like for Memorial Day kind of thing, you've got the smoke, you got the different colored smoke, you've got the grunge textures and the textures going on there. Even when they started to do the Vice color scheme, we've got another sort of style set forth here. We've got the original grunge sort of bleeding through here, but we've also got some Vice elements going on, like the squares going on here, like the ground there. We've also got like the VHS kind of texture. I don't know. It's like a I don't even know what you call it, but it's like that texture like you'd see on like an old TV, like a VCR kind of thing, as well as the glowing text and the shape elements here. And you can also see the original style sort of bleeding through after that. Like you've got a mix of those. You've got like the vicey kind of thing, like the old like 80s kind of thing, and then you've also got the original style done in a Vice kind of way with the changing of the colors, which is a really cool and distinctive style. Alright, so this is going to end our episode here. I really hope you learned something new, because I certainly did. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see the next episode coming at you soon. Thank you, and goodbye.